Hello, Fowler Eagles. Welcome to English 121 through LCC's High School Advantage program. My name is Rick Cook, and I'm your instructor for this class. And this is a little video to kind of orient yourself to me, to the class, a little bit about D2L, Desire to Learn, our classroom management system. Um, First of all, this is my 19th year teaching 121 at LCC. And I've actually been teaching composition longer than that. I did my undergraduate work at U of M, and as part of that program, we taught first year composition. And then I did my master's work at MSU, where again I taught first year composition. And I've got that way I've got the whole U of M MSU thing covered. I in the course of my PhD work at Grand Valley, I also taught this class again, first year composition. And I currently teach this class for Ferris State University. There it's called English 150, but it's first year composition. And I teach it at the Wilson Talent Center, which is the CTE program for Ingham County. So eligible high school students at the Wilson Talent Center take this class. So I have a lot of experience helping high school students be successful at this level. And I'm actually not going to talk a lot about the fact that you're in high school, because when you're with me, you're in college. You are college students. All the policies are the same. The expectations are the same. Um, and I can tell you that it's the same exact curriculum that I use when I teach on main campus at LCC with classes that might have, 65-year-old grandparents in it. It's the same curriculum I use um, for Ferris State students that are not in high school. So you are getting exactly what other college students get. Um, I do want you to realize that I do this for fun. I don't have to teach at LCC. It's in addition to my other work, but I really enjoy teaching writing. My job at the talent center is I only teach a few classes, and the rest of it is administrative in nature. I do coordinate curriculum, and I'm an instructional coach. But I really enjoy teaching writing, particularly with adults that are choosing to take the class and are trying to develop what what is a skill that will help you your entire life. Um, so what you can see on my screen is our D2L classroom, and I want to just give you some orientation to it. The class is organized by weeks. So over here you can find class materials, which are about the entire class, but then it's organized by weeks. Um, Here on the main screen, you will always find announcements. Okay. And the announcements are my messages to you weekly. Sometimes it's in response to issues. Um, I'll have a weekly to-do list that gets posted. But that in general is how the D2L class will always look. My first announcement is a welcome letter, and you can read this in depth. The big message in the welcome letter is contact. Taking a virtual class, um, particularly one that is uh, uh, mostly asynchronous. So we don't meet very often. We meet 3 times for 2 hours at a time, which is a lot of time at once, but it's not a lot of time overall. So virtual classes are hard to teach, and they're hard to take. The the key to it is communication. I give my cell phone number out because I want students to communicate with me quickly, and the quickest way that students communicate is text. Um, so please don't hesitate to text me if you have questions, and just identify yourself. Um, you can also email me, and my email contact information is in there. There's also communication through D2L that you can use, but the fastest way to get an answer, and I want to be there for you when you have questions, is a text. Um, don't worry about when you text me. I go to bed early and I just turn the thing off. So if you're working at 2 o'clock in the morning and you got a question at 2 in the morning, just send it. Don't be upset when I am up at 6 in the morning and sending the answer back. But I'd rather have you ask me too many questions than not enough. Um, Also, in announcements, I almost always have a no, excuse me, I will always have a to-do list for each week. Our first week is a little long. Um, uh, I know that Fowler doesn't actually start school until next week, but LCC's classes start tomorrow, and I expect students will be kind of interacting at different times. So week one is actually longer than a week. You'll see the dates August 19th to August 30th, but every week after that is actually a true week. And there's a list of what you need to do, and you're reading, you're watching, and you're submitting, and you're responding. And it tells you exactly what you need to do in a list, and that will correspond with the content organized over here. So you can get to this two ways. You can get to it through the content browser. So there are all the things that are listed in there. Or you can get to it going up here to this tab, the content tab. When you click on the content tab for the first time, it takes you to this course information page, which has on it my email, my phone number. It has the book that I believe your high school has already gotten for you. It has on there our office hours. The office hours clearly are virtual. They're there if you need them. You let me know that you need them, and I set them up. And of course, if you need to meet outside of that time, right now I have down Mondays 9 to 10 a.m. But if you need to meet outside of that time because you have a class then or some other kind of conflict, we can definitely arrange that. Again, that goes back to that point about communication. So class materials start here. Here is all the class materials. Of course, here's the welcome video, welcome letter. That's long, but you really need to read it. It really explores, is this the right class at the right time? We're going to talk about this in our first WebEx section, but you probably need this class to graduate from high school. I spent 10 years teaching high school English and about 7 years as a principal. And in all that time, I was either the senior English teacher or I was a principal trying to get seniors to graduate. So if this is a graduation requirement and you're choosing to take an accelerated college class, make sure that's a good choice. Um, I talk about my expectations of this online writing community. My theory about writing is that writers never work in isolation. It's always a collaborative experience, and you got to make sure you're willing to collaborate if you want to take this class. There's a student survey I'd like you to fill out that tells me a little about yourself. In the class materials section is also a syllabus, which lists everything every week that we do. I do revise that because based on your interests, based on our how fast or slow we're moving through the course, or things I feel like I need to emphasize more, it'll get tweaked. You'll write a lot in this class, and there's a rubric for those essays. Here's a video that explains how your essays are graded. Common explanations and the Control F checklist get used throughout the whole class, but you don't need to know exactly what that is yet. It'll be explained later. So there's the class materials, and you work through that. And then also under the week one tab, we start working on the content of the class, which is expository writing. This is a writing class. I know they call it English 121, but originally this class was called Writing 121 back when I started teaching it, and it's still referred to as first year composition. So you will write more in this class than you've ever written before, and that's what you're signing up for. You're signing up to write, to develop that skill as a writer. More information about D2L and how it works and what's important for you. Under the communication tab, you will find discussions. We do discussions regularly. The first discussion post is due on September 3rd, Friday, September 3rd, or excuse me, you'll post 3 expository questions, and then you need to respond to them by September 3rd. You'll post them by August 30th, actually. You will put expository questions here. What is expository question? What is a expository question, and how do you write one and what makes a good one versus a bad one is all explained in the readings and the videos. But I wanted to make sure you knew where to find this. You can also find this. So if something is due, a discussion is due in a particular week, you can also find it by, if you go to content, and then under week 1, you'll see the essay 1 discussion posts. So you always want to click on everything that is listed under a particular week. And you'll see that the weeks are all over here, and they're hidden from you. We move through this class together. You don't jump ahead. It's a collaborative experience. You read something, you respond. I give you feedback. You read something, you discuss it in the online discussion posts. You look at each other's work, and then you create work. It is not a self-paced class where you get through it as fast as possible, but rather it's a deliberative process. I'm really excited to teach this class. I always learn a lot as a writer myself. I'm constantly developing my craft, and you will find that most people who write professionally also teach. And I very much think of myself as a writer who teaches, not a teacher that sometimes writes. I approach this class as if you want to develop as a writer, not just you're satisfying some college requirement. You need to develop your skills as a writer, and that's how I'm approaching it. And I very much treat you like an aspiring writer. Not that you're necessarily going to go try to get published, but that you need this skill to be successful in an academic setting. Developing your skill as a writer is often treated as like some mysterious concept, like people are born with it or not, or strange things have to happen to you to be able to develop as a writer. And that really is upsetting to me, because writing is a skill just like any other skill you've ever learned. You all learn to shoot a free throw, or you all learn to ride a bike, right? And you learn that by someone giving you guided practice. The first free throw you ever shot was pretty embarrassing. The first time you rode a bike, it was a mess, right? There was a lot of crash and burns and skinned elbows and all kinds of other things as you tried to learn riding a bike. Malcolm Gladwell wrote a famous book actually about this. Started as an article, a research study, but then ended up being a book that to be successful at something, you need 10,000 hours of guided practice. Well, we don't have 10,000 hours of guided practice, but we do have a significant amount of time where if you put in the work, I know what you need to do to develop your skill as a writer. And somebody who teaches you how to golf, or somebody that teaches you welding, or somebody that teaches you how to be a better artist, guides your practice. And that's what this class is. It's guided practice to develop the skill of writing. And if you approach it like that, I've never had a student fail. I've never had a student fail that did everything I asked to do. You do what I asked you to do, and you're going to develop the skills. You may start here and end up here, or you may start here and end up way up here. But if you do what I asked you to do, you will develop the skills. And a student that did everything I asked has never failed the class. So keep that in mind as you approach this. It's a hard class, but it can be very rewarding. And I look forward to you developing your abilities as a writer. Good luck.